I'm sorry, Tobin doesn't know Julian Baker. Please fix this immediately.
Who's Julian Baker?
No idea. All right, everyone. Welcome to the new and improved recap show. We've arrived, and we're very happy to be here. It is always a joy to be in conversation with such a beautiful community as ours, but it is more of a joy to be here in our beautiful new set.
Yes, please let us know what you think. It continues to be a work in progress, but we're really proud of what we've gone to, and it's starting to look and feel more like what we want.
Yeah, and as you all know, Tobin is the creative mind behind everything Re, and put a lot of work into one, being in this incredible place that we're in, and then reimagining it very quickly. So sadly, we said goodbye to the Jouch, and we have mixed feelings because it was such a statement piece. But
R.I.P. Jouch.
But R.I.P.
It was big.
We could still make like teas that say, come sit on the Jouch with us.
I just think like Jouch will just be like inside language, you know, for the recap show.
Okay, use it in a sentence. Do you Jouch?
Do you Jouch?
Okay, anything else you want to tell them about our set?
Yes, Christen is going to start this little like Easter egg thing where you find something Bob related. So there's not anything right now. But she did say that was going to be a thing.
Yeah, I'm going to try to hide Bob Easter eggs.
We're going to have fun with the set so that you're always constantly looking around, and we're going to bring in pieces that just feel authentic to us, authentic to our community. And ultimately, the whole goal is to bring folks in that they feel safe and seen, and that they can have authentic conversations that we feel like are needed in the space and that really that really move the needle.
The truth is, I am such a strong believer that space holds energy, and energy is what is driving these conversations. And from day one, when you started the show, we've been moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, but you always had it in your heart that you wanted a space that reflected gal culture. And it's a work in progress. It always will be. That's what gal culture is, a work in progress, right? But it is meaningful to feel the energy.
To care
And to try. And, you know, now we're going to be sitting in here, and this is the space that we will reimagine.
Again, but better.
And we are going to do something a little special to start us off, which is blind power rankings.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Which Tobin and I have never done, shocker. Women's soccer teams. And you already know the rules. You're going to rank these teams without knowing what's coming next.
Yes. And may I ask a couple questions before we start?
Sure.
Great. Are these teams from all over the world or from any region specifically?
All over the world.
And are they just club teams?
No.
I knew it. I knew our producers were going to trick me, and I got to you first. Okay.
Brava.
Thank you.
Okay. Blind rank these teams from 1 to 7.
Ooh, great number.
The 99ers.
1.
I was thinking 1.
I feel like this is a good, like, you figure out if you're a good tester or not through this.
All right. We'll find out. FC Barcelona.
What year?
Up to you. I guess current.
4.
All right. Yeah, definitely make sure it's all current, unless it's said the 99ers, obviously. Okay.
It's confusing.
Chelsea.
5.
Kansas City current.
6.
Arsenal.
3.
Did you put someone 2?
No, I have 2 and 7 left.
Angel City.
7. Did I just crush this? Is it going to be U.S. Women's National
The
Team?
2019 U.S. Women's National Team.
Gosh, 2! I am a genius. That is the best ranking ever.
Okay, wait. So it's 99ers, the 2019 U.S. Women's National Team, Arsenal, Barcelona, Chelsea, Kansas City Current, Angel City.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I am so glad we recorded this.
So if you weren't doing this blind, you would have ranked them like that?
Absolutely. Everyone in the world would have. We know you love staying up to date on the latest shows, music, and moments. And now there's something new in fitness you need to know about. The Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most elevated piece of equipment yet. With Peloton IQ, you get intelligent strength coaching that actually counts your reps, fixes your form, and tells you when to push harder. It's like having your own personal trainer, but way smarter. And here's the best part. You're never stuck in one routine. With the swivel screen, you can go from running to strength training to stretching all in one workout. Plus, Peloton IQ builds personalized plans matching you with classes that help you reach your goals. Each week, it recommends classes with instructors who match your style, so it feels like the plan was designed just for you. And in a way, it is. It's smart, it's fresh, and it's definitely trending. This is more than equipment. The new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus is a tool for transformation. So let yourself run, lift, stretch, push, and go. Check out the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com. All right, so today we are going to have a conversation about what is driving the value of women's sports. And the reason that this is a really important topic right now is because I don't think there's a lot of clarity in what exactly that is. Or it could be that there's not one answer for a league, a team, or a specific sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to go into the factors that we're seeing that we think are driving the value of women's sports.
Okay, let's ground ourselves in the why. Why does it matter?
To grow women's sports?
Okay, so you're looking at what is driving women's sports so that you know what levers to pull to continue to grow the game.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think one of the questions that I get a lot is how much does the product or the performance of the team, how much is that important to what is driving the value or the success of the business of women's sports? Do you think it's even important? Do you think having a winning franchise, a winning team, a team that plays what we would say, quote unquote, attractive football, do you think those are
I think
important
it's a
factors?
really hard question to answer as a player because we have to believe that winning is everything. And it is. It's our job. And I think we've seen firsthand how winning affects your brand, your culture, your impact, and, viewership. We've seen that. We've seen the effect of winning, and it's monumental. And I think that that's how I have to feel and believe. I think the reason that you're asking is because in women's soccer and women's sports at large, there's a movement that we represent. And so sometimes people come to the game and they're like, we're here to support women. Doesn't matter which team, go women, right? And that's unique, that people really resonate with the ethos of what women's sports stand for at large, which sometimes takes so much pressure off on-field product and on-field success.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this has been the great, question for my club for the first 4 years of our existence. We have underperformed when it comes to results and overperformed when it comes to, comparing to other teams in sales and merch and revenue and overall valuation. I think in some ways we are a model of how you can have success in women's sports without a winning franchise. But, I think the way every single Angel City player, staff, and fan feels is like, okay, but not much longer. Like now we have to start to win or this whole thing doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think when you look at a league like the NWSL, which is still such a young league, and you were to try to identify the culture of each of these clubs, it doesn't feel like there is enough like that the roots aren't yet deep enough in these clubs to know when you're supporting, I don't know, Houston versus Portland versus Chicago, like what that means to you. You know, and I think when you talk about why Angel City has been so successful is they really tried to dig their roots as so far down into what type of culture and club they wanted to be before, obviously, then what comes to the surface is then the product, like what's happening out on the field. And I think that when I look at the clubs that have the best, what I would call identity, brand, like you look at a Portland has such a brand. Their roots run deep. You look at an Angel City, which is one of the younger clubs in the NWSL, it runs deep. But you can look at then like a team like Gotham, for instance. And for me, I'm like, what is the brand of Gotham? They won a championship like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They won a championship. That did not change the trajectory of that club. Signing big players did not change the trajectory of that club. So it makes you wonder when you're trying to build the business of women's sports. And we always said the business of women's sports is failing in a lot of ways. But when you're trying to build the business of women's sports, it seems like you really have to be rooted in something.
Yeah, no, it's such an interesting point because like we just don't have the history. And English clubs aren't thinking every day about how to build identity. They just have it. They just inherit it.
Yep.
And that goes both for like the off-field ethos and like the style of play, right? So on both ends of that, women's sports just haven't been around long enough to have that. And so one, we're creating new fandoms. We're creating new communities, and that's a huge opportunity. And I think what we do in order to fill that connection point, maybe our grandmothers didn't watch Gotham and we didn't watch it when we were 1 year old. That's where fandom comes from, right?
Yeah.
So what we do, I think, is we tell player stories.
Yep.
We say, well, you like Tobin Heath. So Tobin Heath now, like Portland tries to tell your story in a way that they can grab some of what you've built over or what you built over a career and put it into a franchise that's younger. And I think that's one of the reasons that the NWSL is a league for stars and of stars.
Yeah. Yeah. The storytelling, I think, is really important. And getting players, though, to buy into what a team's culture is also, to like care about the badge that's on their chest. And you're right. Over in the UK, I remember when we signed for Manchester United, for me, I'm not a Manchester United fan. I'm an Arsenal fan. But to have the weight of the badge that is a United badge on your chest, like that means something, and as a club, the weight of it, that's history. And it's like the storytelling and the history really matters, because then when a player signs for these clubs, like that should matter. The badge that is on your chest, I truly believe this, should matter. Like that's what you're fighting for. And for some reason, I feel like that isn't seen enough in these franchises, that is what matters. It does feel more American in a way that you would, if Christen Press got traded to another team, you would become a fan of that team. It feels very American sports, right? Very like basketball, or you're just chasing the next best contract, And even like look at Jaden Shaw going from North Carolina to Gotham, and she was in San Diego before. It's like, how do we get these, franchise players? You look at Alyssa Thompson, who I think Angel City thought they were building this amazing club around. And then, she leaves and goes over to Chelsea. And the whole idea of a franchise player is you build the club around this player. And I don't know if we've realized the type of club kind of investment that's required to continue to grow the roots of this, so that one day when these players finish playing for these clubs, it's like that was their club, that the fans can like point back to moments that mattered. And that's why like history and storytelling and what we do here, it really matters, because we're trying to continue to dig those roots in women's sports culture, so that it's not just a flippant thing like cheering for one team or another, or having a new favorite player every week. No, it's like that these are things that you care about. And when you care about something deeply, you're not whimsical about it.
Well, one thing that keeps coming up for me is the fact that in the NWSL, you could have been traded against your will at any point. So it's like that flippant, like one team to the next, like there was no autonomy for players and for those fans to say like, okay, my player left because they wanted to versus, oh, my favorite player just got traded in her sleep. I think that matters.
Yeah, actually, you make a great point. Like our league was kind of started by this idea that, you know, you could just be moved around. But at the same point, our league was started with franchise players, with like each of these teams picking their national team player to build a franchise around. And I think the teams that chose the most wisely around the players that they built their franchise around are the ones that have reaped the most rewards in terms of like what that team and that culture means, because the players themselves are the culture carriers.
Yeah.
If the players don't care about the badge they're wearing, the fans aren't going to care about it.
Well, I think you've asked here in this room how to make a player care about their badge, or why don't they? And it comes back to the same thing. I actually think we have the opportunity to do it in two different ways. Win, have great players, be great at football, and then as a young player, you're like, I want to go there. You want to say, I'm going to play with that player. And then the other thing is like build a brand that's worth fighting for. And at Angel City, like I am proud of my badge. And I think all the players are, and it means something to put on our kit that is beyond football. But I don't think a lot of young players are like, I'm going to that club because of the way that they've played football over the last 4 years. And obviously the club's intention is to change that. And then, you know, the thing that we haven't talked about is style of play, right? So like if you think of an English club, you think like Arsenal style play comes to mind, Chelsea style. Okay. But in the NWSL, all the teams looked exactly the same till like 15 minutes ago. And like maybe you can say Kansas City has a style of play because you kind of know there's a little bit of differentiation as we've continued to evolve. But Orlando, like think about how much that style of play has changed over the years. Yeah. In Chicago, like teams that I knew when I played for Chicago, I knew how we played. I don't look at all like the team that I played for. So that also comes with time, but I think it also comes with the evolution of the sport. Bringing in better talent and better coaches that are actually able to kind of keep up with the world's game. Yeah. And be good enough to be able to beat the old, like antiquated styles of soccer that are still winning in our league today, because we just don't have that depth and we don't have like that depth of knowledge and we don't have the right like coaches and players to be able to, I don't know, compete in a more diverse way.
Yeah, I do wonder between like the different markets how much that product on the field truly matters. Like how much does the actual like visual beauty of what's happening on the field compared to, let's say, winning, just outright winning, because you don't have to play beautifully to win necessarily. And then how much does it matter that you have the stars, the people that people come to and they pay money to watch? And I don't think that equation is the same in each market.
Okay, I have a hot take.
Yeah.
I don't think you can win without it being beautiful. Because it's just a different type of beauty. Like honestly, take our national team when we're on it. Are you going to say that was Barcelona style soccer?
Never.
No.
I would never call the U.S. women's national team a beautiful team to watch,
but
ever.
It was. We brought people to tears.
Yeah,
you
but
had
winning,
people running through walls.
You know what brings people to tears is the idea of this team that continues to fight even when they're losing.
I dare say that's beautiful.
You know what? This is a great conversation because you always hate when people say, like, I just want to play good football. Define what good football is.
It's so one-dimensional. I just want to play short passes back and forth between my center backs. Well, that to me is Dolesville.
That's fair. But I also don't want to see long balls that are uncontested and picking up second balls.
Honestly, if I'm watching one of the greatest nines in the world compete for the ball a la Sam Kerr and then score worldies, I think that's beautiful. And you have to do it again and again, and it becomes more and more predictable, and you just have to get better and better. It's like Banda. It's like you can't stop it even though you know it's coming. I don't think it needs to be one way to be beautiful. I think
But that's a style. So I agree. What's beautiful to you isn't beautiful to me. Like beauty is subjective other than a sunset. I think the whole entire world can agree that Christen Press and a sunset is beautiful.
just a smoggy Christen Press and a smoggy sunset in Los Angeles.
But I think overall, like beauty is subjective, but style, like there is style that these teams can be known for.
But I think what it's coming back to me, like I'm standing by my first statement. Winning matters. Product on the field matters. And like, I don't think you can even have a brand ethos and mission driven if you don't win.
You're
like
right.
This is a sports team. This
And
isn't a non-for-profit. You got to win games.
Yeah.
And I don't care how you do it because like, especially in an era where they just clip 1 second of a goal, you actually don't even need to pass it. You just win the ball. And if you hit a really great shot, people just see that 5-second clip anyways.
Yeah. I mean, being an LA women's sports fan this year in particular, because I'm on the other side of it now, like I can tell you, I don't know if it's just me. I really don't like being average. It's infuriating.
But being average is not beautiful.
Is not beautiful.
I can agree with you on that.
Yeah. Like, and for the Sparks and for Angel City, it's been really tough.
But just wait for our 3-game win streak. It might be so beautiful.
But getting back to the actual question of what is driving the value of women's sports. If you were to put your money into one bucket, you have $10 million. You could put it into marketing. You can put it into a new stadium. You can put it into buying players. You can put it into buying a coach. You can put it into a rebrand.
I'm not an all or nothing kind of gal.
Where are you putting your money?
I'm divvying it up strategically based on the data. What about you?
Players.
Yeah, I mean, the truth isn't that marketing and winning and product and
Care about your
audience.
product.
Yeah.
Care about your product. A couple good players are a lot better than, never mind.
Wait, say it. A couple good players are better than a squad full of average
It
ones.
doesn't matter because the truth is, even if you wanted to do it, there's the darn salary cap.
But you know what's funny is you just stopped yourself from saying that because you thought it was going to be mean, but it wasn't mean, except for that we all know you were thinking of a specific squad in your head.
There's always a few that come to mind.
Okay, how do you want to wrap it up?
I want people to let us know what they think is driving the value of women's sports. Yeah. And if they think it's the same, because obviously we're seeing in another market very closely adjacent to the NWSL in the WNBA. And we saw last season with Caitlin Clark, the whole WNBA blew up. And now this whole season she's been injured. And the WNBA has been able to sustain insane numbers. And it's almost like she cracked a door open that then got pushed open by the rest of the league. And we're just as awesome. And they took advantage of a huge moment. You look at the Lionesses winning again the Euros. And it's like you crack the door open and then you have these people that are just pushing it through. And I think sometimes there have been moments where the door gets cracked open and we haven't had the stamina, the momentum, the expertise, the business to push the door open. And I think now when we get these moments, like, can we take advantage of them? And I think one thing that people were really disappointed by is the U.S. women's national team went and won the Olympics in spectacular fashion with the stars really shining and this new core group coming. And then they come back from the Olympics and your 3 most exciting players, you can't even find them on the field, whether they're out now with pregnancy or with injury, although Trinity Rodman is back for the most exciting part of the NWSL season. So turn on your TVs if they've been off. Like, we're realizing though, with the NWSL, like these stars, these moments, like they matter. When you capture the audience, you better bang that door open and tell them where they can continue enjoying what they just saw. And I don't think that the NWSL is doing a good enough job converting momentum and energy that's coming into their league and converting that into sustainability and growth.
So you made an interesting point about how the W has kicked through the door, and with the Caitlin Clark cracked the door and then they kicked it open, and maybe the NWSL didn't do that with a similar opportunity. And I'm curious to just step back a second and talk about where these leagues actually are.
Yeah.
Because from the rumors that I hear that are trickling around, I actually think that the NWSL is going through a bit of a tough spot.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, valuations are going up. Obviously, we are so far from where we were. And I have to imagine that in, the year that we're in, we're probably outperforming MLS by like every milestone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's been a bit of a plateau.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing about, ticket sales and viewership aren't growing in the way that we want them to. And then by contrast, in the W, what I'm hearing is a lot of rhetoric about how women's basketball can't make money and there's no profit, but they're also in a CBA negotiation where they are having to kind of justify really poor salaries.
Yep.
And obviously the W is partially owned by the NBA. And by contrast, the NWSL is owned independently.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think what we're seeing, and it's so funny because we spoke about that if Europe can plug and play into the infrastructures that already exist, especially when we talk about media, which is your gigantic marketing machine, then you have a huge advantage. So them being able to plug in, because when you turn on, Sky or whatever, when you're over in the UK, they're talking about men's football. They can so easily shift over to women's football. Everybody knows how to talk about football. That's what they do all the time. You don't have to change the set. You don't have to change your verbiage, anything. It's the same sport. That's what we're seeing happening in the WNBA now. What's happening is with the interest of it and the games being shown and televised and everybody watching it, then the same outlets are then being able to plug and play into that machine and talk about the WNBA. I heard Stephen A. Smith talking about the WNBA, and he was able to talk about it because he talks about the NBA. Mm-hmm. If Stephen A. Smith tried to talk about soccer, he would sound like a clown. Actually, he always sounds like a clown, but he would sound even more like a clown. And I think that's where the huge disconnect in our ecosystem is. We have to be driving us being like women's soccer will always have, unless, our men win the World Cup this summer, we have more value in our sport. And this sport is not appreciated as much as American football, basketball, baseball. The math doesn't math in terms of being able to plug into it. And I think where we're seeing the WNBA totally accelerate is plugging into the gigantic American sports ecosystem.
Yeah, but that comes at a big cost.
Yeah, but when you see State Farm commercial with all the State Farm that we've always seen, what do they just do? They do the same exact State Farm commercial, but they put in Caitlin Clark. It's like apples to apples is they're being able to plug into.
I don't disagree.
We're not able to do that.
But you're the number one person who would say, don't you dare do that.
Oh, yeah, it's a disservice for women's sports completely.
Because when you hear that the WNBA commissioner is saying the women should get on their hands and knees to be grateful for the media deal I made them, that doesn't sound like the commissioner. That sounds like the NBA. That sounds like the patriarchy.
Oh, yeah, they're smashed up against the patriarchy. And believe you me, I am so glad to not be there. But in terms of being able to accelerate the growth of that league, they're able to accelerate. And I always said this about women's soccer. We will change the landscape of women's sports and women's sports media because we are going to be the first ones talking about it. No one else can do it. Our landscape, our sports, old antiquated landscape does not math to women's soccer in this country. Therefore, we get to build it. That's not necessarily true of the WNBA. But you know what's going to slow the progress down is when we want to talk about the NWSL, and in order to talk about the NWSL is telling us that we have to pay to talk about the NWSL. That's going to slow down the NWSL. So I'm just saying, like, in order to grow this ecosystem that is the NWSL, is like we have to reimagine what that looks like because it doesn't plug into our men's sports.
Okay,
landscape.
I love that, and I do agree with it. it comes,
Nice.
because I thought you were saying we should. And I was like, goodness gracious,
No.
you really pivoted. All the reimaginers would have been up in arms.
It's the easiest thing to do though, right? Like because it's
yeah, no, I think what you're saying is that
natural.
things can be good and bad at the same time. They have their pros and their cons, and there's absolutely pros and cons to being attached to a men's club with a lot of money, right? But I think we at the U.S. Women's National Team was attached to a men's team and told that the market realities are such that we can't be paid our value. We've been there. We've done that. I actually think when you talk about pay, it is a bit easier if there's a direct club next to you.
Yes.
And or a direct team next to you. I think I don't even know how the NWSL as a league would go about equal pay. Like there's nothing really to equate it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it might have its upsides, but it has its downsides. And everything that I'm reading about the W right now is giving me a little bit of PTSD to our U.S. soccer fight. It is so similar in so many ways. And I don't feel that we have made it to a place where women in the NWSL are coming in and feeling empowered. No, I don't think we've made it, but it has been a long time since I heard such outdated language about women's values in sports. And especially at the same time that the W is flying, it feels really, really familiar, eerily familiar, because it is the success that drives the fear. It is the success of women that creates this scarcity mindset in people who have hoarded power for so long and are afraid of anyone else's success is limiting theirs.
It's coming, regardless if people like it or not. All right, so we are going to do a little bit of a ditty, as you like to say. And this time it is a roast. Actually, a re-roast. Have we ever done this before?
Yeah.
We have?
A roast?
We do this
Multiple
often?
times, yes.
We love being roasted?
Because have asked to be roasted.
We can take it.
I am very sensitive.
We've been asking them to turn up the heat on the roast, though.
You've been asking them to turn up the heat on the roast.
I have. Yeah. So let's see if we'll be able to handle this.
Okay.
You look a little nervous.
Yeah.
Okay. These are directed at Christen, which is really harsh. Her outfit is giving Jojo Siwa.
Don't know who that is.
Me either.
Don't care.
Bad roast. Next time you're roasting someone, make sure they understand how you're roasting.
Well, it was for me to see. The comments are for the other commenters.
Well, to be fair, this person got 0 replies.
Yeah, that's your favorite thing about the roast is when they don't have millions of followers to like and reply.
It must be so sad when you're roasting and you don't get a reply.
You're that's roasting the roasters.
Point of roasting.
Okay, I'm up next. Mm-hmm. This is about Tobin or both, which is so mean. Why am I getting roasted on both sides of this?
Oh, about Tobin or both. I like this.
Bruh. Y'all need to stop talking about the same topic every episode. You're going to drive away viewers and burn yourselves out.
What do you think is the same topic? I have a few that could be repetitive. Bob, soccer, equality. Those all seem like appropriate topics to talk about for the rest of our life. And there's plenty of other podcasts for you to listen to, whatever your name is. And obviously you're listening to all of them.
Well, I have a feeling that this bruh is just looking at social.
Why? What's social talking about?
I don't know, I don't know.
Go! Okay. This person, we're not saying names, right? Unless it's really bad, then we're totally going to use your name. This person said, "Don't love that you're bad gays." And then they said, "But Tobin was my favorite player, fave player to watch."
Was?
Yeah.
Before you said you were a bad gay?
That was harsh. That was the worst. That was the meanest
roast. Are you
roast.
okay?
Did she put "was" in capital marks and an underscore?
That was the roastiest part.
That was the roastiest part, but no.
Wait, so this person doesn't like that we're bad gays. We don't like that either. We're working really hard now to listen to more queer music.
We really are.
And we are bad gays for good gays.
Bad gays for good.
Stay tuned.
Gays.
Find out what that means.
I know. And I feel like actually it's been really liberating to a lot of gays.
You're right. We are good gays because when we announced that we were bad gays, other people felt seen and heard in the gay community.
Also,
Go
there's
gays.
no one's keeping score here.
Okay. I'm sorry. Tobin doesn't know Julian Baker. Please fix this immediately.
Who's Julian Baker?
No idea. At least we think we're funny.
Okay, appreciate the comment. I won't even say it was a roast. And thank you so much. I really love being educated. That's probably one of the most fun things about having this podcast. Okay, last one for you. Are you ready? Usually the last one's the harshest. OMG. Say like one more time. FFS, which I'm pretty sure says for fun's sake.
Say like?
Yeah.
That's about you.
I know you have been telling me that I really need to clean up my
How do we know that was
speech.
about me?
I guess it says about Christen or both.
Oh, good. That's about you. And you know what? I agree. I missed the comment on the last one. It says, I'm sorry, Tobin doesn't know Julian Baker. Please fix this immediately. This is like a red card that gets you banned for the rest of the season.
Screw you.